Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Hotel workers in Trelawney reach agreement with management. Education Minister pushes for national school safety policy to be completed. And later in sports, Reggae Boys beaten by USA in CONCACAF Nations League. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pula and here are the details. An agreement has been reached between Bush Key West and employees of Excellence Oyster Bay Hotel in Trelawney following a protest on Monday. In a release, the management outlined several steps taken. This includes a 10% increase in salaries, which will take effect at next fortnight's pay. In addition, the company will give all employees the choice of working 5 or 6 days per week. It says permanent contracts will also be granted to all employees. The company will also pay workers overtime. The employees will get new uniforms and the HR department will also create a channel to listen to the grouses of staff. Meanwhile, there are renewed calls for a joint industrial council to address issues among workers in the tourism sector. The president of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, Vincent Morrison, says it is the only way to fix the issues in the sector.
Over the last few weeks, a number of hotel workers have been taking industrial action. The most recent case was on Monday after workers employed to Excellence Oyster Bay in Falmouth, Trelawney took to the street to voice concerns about poor working conditions and low salaries. President of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, Vincent Morrison, says he doesn't think the government understands the dynamics of the situation.
When you look on how the things like their gratuity is treated, their housing conditions, people living in Spanish Town, working in Ocho and have to struggle to get to work, can't get enough sleep. When you look on the fixed term contract, which is it's a dagger in labor relations in Jamaica as I speak, low wages, the issue of representation and the workload.
Mr. Morrison says hotel workers in Jamaica are gearing up for more protests. He says the situation is intense as he too agrees that they are being treated unfairly.
I just got some reports that there's a worker who died in a hotel. They were working in a certain department and the heat exhaustion. She just passed away recently. But you can't have a situation where you have workers and they cannot exchange ideas. They can't talk to themselves. And I know for a fact that management, the HR department in these hotels are not like umpires. HR department, in my view, must be umpires. Your job as human resource is to, be a fair umpire.
UCASE is now joining the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions by calling for a joint industrial council for the tourism sector.
But you can't ask management to sort out the issues themselves, right? It doesn't happen that way. The council would be able to sit down and objectively look on the complaints and deal with them. And the issue of communication, the trust gap, has widened between the workers and management. So the communication that management can or could provide at this time will not work because the worker don't trust them.
Carrie Simpson, TVJ News.
And Mr. Morrison was speaking on Power 106 Morning Agenda Tuesday. Now, the opposition leader Mark Golding has fired back at Prime Minister Andrew Holness, dismissing claims that certain individuals are intentionally stirring up unrest in the tourism sector. Instead, Mr. Golding argues that the ongoing turmoil is a direct consequence of poor governance. Therefore, he's calling on the Prime Minister to take immediate action to address workers' issues plaguing Jamaica's tourism industry.
Instead of the Prime Minister seeking to pass the buck by blaming the People's National Party for the current unrest in the sector, he should take responsibility for failing to address these issues in the sector over the last 9 years. The PNP will continue to advocate for the protection of workers' rights and the establishment of mechanisms to ensure a sustainable and harmonious tourism sector. We recognize the importance of creating a balance that ensures hotel operators can run their businesses effectively, maintain visitor satisfaction, and operate sustainably.
Mr. Golding also emphasizes the need for a joint council to facilitate constructive dialogue and safeguard workers' rights, aligning with the International Labour Organization's decent work agenda.
This is not just about fairness to our workers. It is essential for the long-term sustainability and growth of Jamaica's tourism industry, which is a critical part of the Jamaican economy. Tourism workers are major contributors to the strength of brand Jamaica, and their concerns must be taken seriously. We must provide an ecosystem where both workers and hotel operators can thrive. It is a pivotal moment requiring the government to act swiftly and decisively to prevent further damage to destination Jamaica. I therefore call for a comprehensive analysis of the industry as a matter of urgency.
Scores of commuters were left stranded this morning in Adelphi St. James after angry residents took to the streets to protest poor road conditions and lack of water. The residents say they have been dealing with this issue for the past 3 years and they are frustrated.
We have a bad road from the Westgate area right into the Dumfries area to the Trelawney area. You know, we live, it's a connected road. The road bad more than 3 years now, man. The people are tired now, man. Come on, man. We vote for Labour right. The head ballot in a power more than 20 years. And the road is really bad. You understand? And we need justice. We really need justice. Because when I vote in time, the people have no itch. We're not for the government, the people have no itch. But we cannot live like this. If you're coming from the Paisley side, the Padmire side, the Spot Valley side, it's bad. Montego Bay side, the road is bad. You understand? We need a road, man. We need justice, man.
TVJ News also understands that there was a second protest over poor road condition in the Moyhall area.
This is just a smoke, and if we don't get attention immediately, then we're going to take this further and much more serious and more severe. Alright, so we are asking the Member of Parliament, the Council to come. They made us a 3-week promise to do a mega project, and we know it couldn't be done in 3 weeks. It has now been gone in 11 months and 7 days and nothing.
I empathize with the citizens because if you know Moyhall, the hill is very steep, and because the hill is so steep, transportation is needed to take the residents over the hill. So what I'm saying is that I'm imploring to the Member of Parliament, the Councillor, to assist them in whatever way they can.
Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon visited the Homo Technical High School on Monday. This following the murder of the school's bus driver on the compound Friday. The deceased, Rowan Gentles, was preparing to transport the footballers for a game when he was shot in full view of students. Mrs. Morris-Dixon says on Friday she met with the National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang to discuss a number of initiatives to address violence in schools.
We spoke about what was necessary, because this isn't something that we take lightly, and I want you to understand that the government does not take what happened lightly. We spoke about what we needed to do. We spoke about security at schools and how we can better enhance security at our schools across Jamaica. We also spoke about penalties for crimes that take place on a school property or any crime that involves our children.
Mrs. Morris-Dixon further added that the government is treating the incident seriously. She says the completion of the Safe School program is also being discussed.
Safety policy that's been worked on between the Ministry of Education and also the Ministry of National Security, that's been in the works, and I don't like that word "in the works" because too often in Jamaica things are in the works forever. But We have said that this needs to be completed at the end of the month. UNICEF is assisting the government in finalizing it, and we expect at the end of November that review to be done, because we have to prioritize safety in schools. And our government is going to do whatever we have to do to make it clear to criminals that schools are not fair game.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. With a recent increase in beef production, the Agriculture Ministry says it is now gearing up to boost the sector with new initiatives. State Minister for Agriculture, Franklin Witter, says the Cattle Breeders Society is also playing a vital role in tackling the industry's challenges. Mr. Witter was speaking at the Menard Livestock Show and Beef Festival in St. Anne recently.
Facilitate a build out of increase in technology to support the cattle industry. We at the ministry also, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining is also playing our part in terms of supporting the development of the cattle industry.
Mr. Witter says the ministry is also partnering with more educational facilities to enhance the dairy sector through its agriculture programs.
Case, another institution, agricultural institution right across Jamaica. We are currently partnering with the Northern Caribbean University also to revitalize their dairy program. To facilitate this, we would have provided them with some cows, and we'll be assisting them to establish 40 acres of fodder. Additionally, they have started teaching dairy production also at the institution.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
IGL Group, a subsidiary of Massey Gas Products, recently exported its first shipment of locally made medical-grade oxygen, positioning Jamaica as an emerging player in the global healthcare industry. The shipment left the island on November 9 for the Bahamas. CEO of Massey Gas Products, Peter Graham, says it demonstrates the country's move towards self-sufficiency in local oxygen production. He also stressed that it reinforces the company's sustainable development goals, bolster job creation, and supports the Jamaica's vision for an exported-led economy. Further afield, Novo Nordisk has launched its weight loss drug Wegovy in China after it was approved by local health authorities in June. It is set to intensify competition with rival Eli Lilly, whose popular weight loss treatment also got the green light months ago, but has yet to go on sale in the world's second largest pharmaceutical market. More than 180 million people live with obesity in China, which has a population of 1.4 billion. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Carrie Ann Simpson.
Thank you, Carrie. And now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, is facing a humanitarian crisis as gang violence escalates, forcing over 20,000 people to flee their homes in just 4 days. The violence has left the city largely isolated, with only 20% of it accessible, and critical supplies cannot reach those in need due to gang control of roads and the seaport. The UN reports nearly 4,000 gang-related deaths in 2024, and women and children are particularly vulnerable to gender-based violence. The situation is worsening, and urgent international support is needed. On the international scene, Ukraine has launched US-made ATACMS missiles in Russia's Bryansk region, marking the first use of the longer-range weapons against targets inside Russia. The attack occurred on the 1,000th day of the war, 2 days after the Joe Biden administration authorized Ukraine to use the missiles. Russia's defense ministry reported that 5 of the 6 missiles were shot down and the 6th caused a fire at a military facility, though no casualties were reported. This escalation comes as Russia continues heavy missile and drone strikes on Ukraine, and thousands of North Korean troops have been deployed to Russia's Kursk region, further intensifying the conflict. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Nikinsky Robinson.
We take another break.